Wow, the recent Resident Evil reboot gets so many things right. However, by the end of this movie, you're just thinking, man, you could have been so much better. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video, we are going to be reviewing the recently released Resident Evil reboot, Welcome to Raccoon City, which is the long-awaited reboot and latest installment in the Resident Evil franchise, and this one is completely different to the ones that star Mila Jovavich, as this one is a lot more faithful and a lot more based on the popular Resident Evil video games from the 1990s. And from that point of view, I feel like it recaptures all of those aspects really, really well. In fact, it's got so many Easter eggs and so many things that you can spot from the video game translated into this movie, which I feel like is absolutely brilliant. However, that being said, it doesn't really embrace its horror roots as well as it could have done. But also, I feel like that is fine, as it is trying to balance it with a slightly lighter tone. And I feel like the fact that they were even able to make this movie during the COVID pandemic, I feel like is a massive achievement in and of itself. However, there are a few miscasts in this movie, and that really has made the fan community a little bit frustrated, as their representations of certain beloved characters really aren't as great as they could have been. And I'm going to be breaking all of that down for you and more in this movie review. So this movie tells the origin storyline of the zombie outbreak in the Raccoon City area, following the Umbrella Corporation testing and experimenting on its residents, and the film tells the storyline and condenses the storyline from the first two Resident Evil games. So the first one focusing on the Jill Valentine character and the Claire Redfield character as they are trying to survive the events in the Spencer mansion, and it also condenses and tells the storyline of what is happening meanwhile with Claire Redfield, Chris's sister, and Leon S. Kennedy in the Raccoon City area, and of course explores whether or not all of these characters are going to be able to survive the zombie outbreak as they learn this sinister truth about what is happening with the Umbrella Corporation. Now, from a positives point of view, like I said, it is really, really faithful to its video game source material, and it has loads of Easter eggs that fans of the video game are going to be able to spot in this movie. So for example, it has the zombie dogs that are totally unstoppable and really, really deadly. It's got the Licker, which is a crazy creature from the second Resident Evil. It's also got the exploding truck from the second Resident Evil movie as well. And it's got loads of secret passageways, which obviously you discover when you're playing the game, and I feel like they've translated really, really well. And it's also got the train, the brilliant epic sequence from the second Resident Evil game is also in this movie, which is really, really wicked. And I feel like they definitely build everything as the movie is progressing, in terms of the number of zombies that are running after these characters, and all of the jump scares and the terror moments definitely do get bigger and better as the movie is progressing. And also, there are really, really cool jump scare moments, especially in the mansion, and some sequences in Raccoon City as well. All of those moments really will put a chill down your spine, especially if you're watching it on the big screen. And I also think it's really great how they represent the evil and twisted Umbrella Corporation, and also how desperate and evil some humans characters can be, whilst also keeping your faith in humans at the same time, as it really does put a lens on friendship and people helping each other out at the same time, which is really, really cool. However, from a negatives point of view, it does feel a little bit cheap in moments, but that being said, you can forgive that, as like I said, it was filmed during the COVID pandemic. And even though it does build and get better as you do progress through the movie, I do feel like the start of this film is really, really slow, which also contrasts with my next point, which is that it could have actually gone on for a little bit longer, as the final third of this movie does feel pretty rushed. So they definitely could have improved the pacing in this movie. But all of that being said, the storyline in this movie is actually pretty decent. So from a cast and characters point of view, the recently released Resident Evil reboot has got some brilliant hits, but has also unfortunately got some misses in there as well. So let's go through them one by one. So first up, we have Scodelario, who honestly is just saving this movie. She does such a good job playing the Claire Redfield character. You're really with this character. I feel like you're really connected with this character out of all of the other ones. And I feel like she is really great in her emotional scenes, whilst also being a total badass in the action sequences as well. And like I said, she carries this movie really, really well. Next up, we have Robbie Amell, who is playing her brother, the Claire Redfield character. He didn't do as much in this movie as I was hoping or expecting, but that being said, he has got some wicked sequences himself as well. For example, in the Spencer mansion, where all of the lights are switching off and you see all of these zombies coming at this character. I feel like that sequence in particular is absolutely brilliant. And the final train sequence, I feel like Chris Redfield, even though he wasn't in there in the video game, he does actually enter that sequence as part of this movie really, really well. However, next up we have Evan Jogia, who ultimately I feel like is miscast in the role of Leon S. Kennedy. I mean, I do like the diversity that they were trying to do with this character's selection, and also I feel like this actor is really, really good. However, the script and his portrayal just meant that the Leon S. Kennedy character was just a little bit of a loser, which is actually really disappointing, as in the video game this is such a beloved and really, really cool character that I just feel like all of those great aspects really weren't translated in this performance or in this movie, which is a real shame. We then have Hannah John-Kamen, who similarly I feel like was miscast in the role of Jill Valentine. Again, I feel like it's really great that they tried to add a bit of diversity. However, from a script and performance point of view, it just felt like a bit of a parody compared to this brilliant character again in the video games, which was so brilliant. I feel like this character was probably better represented in the Mila Jovavich series from the Resident Evil world. Also, we have Tom Hopper in this movie, who incidentally acted alongside Hannah John-Kamen in the recently released SAS Red Notice. I feel like he's decent in this movie as the double agent Albert. I feel like in the beginning this character was really, really wooden. However, towards the end of this movie this character gets a lot better. And then finally we have Neal McDonough. Now, whilst I'm not the biggest fan of this actor, I feel like his portrayal of the evil and twisted and truly sinister William character was actually really, really impressive, and the things that happen to this character towards the end of this movie are very video game centric and very video game faithful, which I think is really, really brilliant. And so from a cast and characters point of view overall, I feel like they are really mixed in this movie. So from a visuals point of view, this film has a modest, decent budget of $25 million. And I feel like it probably does look like that kind of a movie actually. I mean, some bits are really, really great. Some bits could have been a little bit better. But you know, they do what they are supposed to do, which is to immerse you into the world in Raccoon City. Now, I absolutely love the degradation from the human characters into zombie form. I mean, you can really see and tell how they are just losing their humanity and then suddenly becoming these blood-sucking zombies. And I feel like that's actually represented really, really well. At first, I wasn't that won over by how the humans were looking, but like I said, when they get into full zombie mode, they actually look really, really impressive and truly video game faithful, which is really, really cool. Speaking of zombies, the zombie dogs have been brilliantly represented and lifted and shifted from the video game onto the big screen so well. You can really see how scary and terrifying these dogs are becoming, especially when they have all of this fluid coming out of their mouths, and then when they are just jumping at certain characters, it looks really, really cool. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with the dog characters. And similarly, I feel like they could have done a lot more as well with the liquor character. I mean, you don't really find out that much about this character's backstory either. I mean, you can put a few clues together, which is basically this is a bit of an experiment gone wrong from the Umbrella Corporation. But like I said, they could have done a little bit more with this character as well. I mean, the scenes in the mansion are absolutely wicked, especially all of the helicopter flying into the mansion, all of the lights switching off in the Spencer mansion, and seeing how these characters are going to survive these onslaughts of zombies being after them and piling on them. I feel like it's absolutely wicked. I feel like Raccoon City definitely feels like its own character as well. And like I said, so many memories and throwbacks from the video game being translated here from a Raccoon City Resident Evil 2 point of view, which looks absolutely wicked. And also all of the backstory with the virus, the T virus, the G virus, and all of the stuff with the Umbrella Corporation is just translated really, really well. And so from a visuals point of view, I feel like this movie is actually really, really impressive. So from a comparisons point of view, out of all of the Resident Evil movies that have been released so far, I'd probably put this movie in the middle. I mean, it's a lot better than some of them, however not as good as all of them. I mean, my main frustration with the Mila Jovavich series of the Resident Evil movies, as brilliant as they were, they just weren't totally fully faithful to the video game, which this one is, which I feel like is really, really impressive. In terms of comparing it to movies outside of the Resident Evil series, I feel like it's way stronger than Monster Hunter, Shaun of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead. However, I don't feel like it's as good as Zombieland, World War Z, Mortal Kombat, Army of the Dead, or Love and Monsters. So overall, despite this movie taking a little bit of time to get going and some of its casting mishaps, I do feel like it is actually a really good representation of how to adapt a video game onto the big screen, and it is a really enjoyable movie, and it does tease a little bit of a sequel by the end of this film, so I am hopeful that this will lead to a few more movies being released from this new iteration of the Resident Evil franchise. But for all of the reasons that I've said in this review, I'm going to give this movie a solid 6 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you, so please let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.